Hello and welcome to lesson 210. Today we're going to look at solving one-step inequalities by multiplying and or dividing. So today we're going to be using either multiplication or division to solve our inequalities. So when we look at the first example here, it says an elevator can carry up to 2,500 pounds. Suppose the weight of an average adult is 150 pounds. At most, how many average size adults can safely ride the elevator at the same time? So if we know that we have average size adults at 150 pounds, I know I'm going to have to take that 150 and multiply it by the number of adults that ride. And I don't know what that number is, so I'm just going to call that X. And this amount has to be less than or equal to the 2,500 pounds that the elevator can carry. Now what we have here is we have an inequality that looks very similar to an equation, something similar to 150x equals 2,500. So in this case, if we wanted to get x by itself, we would have to take the 150 times x and undo the multiplication by dividing both sides by 150. So we're going to do the exact same thing with this inequality. I'm going to divide both sides by 150. The 150 on this side cancels, leaving us with x is less than or equal to 2,500 divided by 150. If we simplify this down, we're going to get 50 divided by 3. So if we look at the approximation, this is approximately 16.33. Well, because we are dealing with a number of people, we can't have 0.33 people, so we're going to have to say that x has to be less than or equal to 16 adults. Because if we jump up to 17, that's going to put us over our 2,500 pounds. So with multiplication and division of inequalities, they're very, very similar to solving a multiplication or division problem with an equation. However, if we're multiplying or dividing an inequality by a positive number, okay, then our process is going to be the same as solving equations, just like what you saw in the previous example. However, where things are going to change a little bit is if we are multiplying or dividing an inequality by a negative number. Okay, so this is something you really have to make sure you understand. If we are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, then we have to reverse the direction of our inequality. So that means if our inequality is a greater than inequality, we're going to change it to a less than. Or if we're dealing with a less than or equal to, we're going to have to change it to a greater than or equal to. And again, this is only if we are multiplying or dividing by a negative number. So let's take a quick look at an example to see how this is going to work. So for example 2, part A, I'm told to solve 36 is greater than a negative 9, t. So I have negative 9 times t, so I'm going to have to divide both sides by a negative 9. So I have 36 divided by negative 9. This is going to give me a negative 4. And because I divided by a negative, okay, again, I'm dividing by a negative, I have to reverse my inequality, and my negative 9s are going to cancel, and I'm going to be left with t. So this right here is my solution. Now, if I write this with my variable first, I have t is greater than a negative 4, and I'm going to double check my work. So let's just graph this out real quick. If this is 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, we'll say negative 6. So if I graph this on a number line, I'm going to put an open circle on the number 4, and my arrow then is going to go to the right. So that means any point that I pick to the right had better be a solution. So if I pick the number 0, let's say, if I take that 0 and I plug it back into my original equation, I have 36 is greater than negative 9 times 0. Or in other words, I have 36 is greater than 0, and that is in fact true. So that just helps reinforce the fact that I was correct. Now, had we not changed the inequality, so this is the wrong way. Okay, I'm just going to show you what would have happened. Okay, so had we left this as -4 is greater than t, and we went and we plotted this out on a number line. So we'll say -6 okay, and if I would have plotted that out and put my open circle on -4 still, and here, if I write my variable first, I have t is less than -4. So that tells me then that we're going this direction. Now, if I pick any number that is less than -4, so in this case, I'm just going to go with -6, and I plug it back into my original equation. This gives me 36 is greater than -9 times a -6. That means I have 36 is greater than -9 times a -6 is a positive 54. And is 36 greater than 54? And the answer to that is no. So that tells me I've probably done something incorrect, or in this case, I just forgot to flip my inequality because I divided by the -9. So let's look at part B. Part B says we have t divided by a -4 is greater than or equal to 7. So in order to solve this inequality, I need to get t by itself. And right now I have t divided by a -4, which means I need to multiply both sides by a -4. When I do that, my -4's cancel here on the left, leaving me with t. So t is going to be less than or equal to, because I divided or I multiplied by a negative. So because I multiplied by a -4, I have to reverse my inequality, and then 7 times a -4 is a -28. So let's just go ahead and double check our work here. So I have -25, 26, 27, 28, -29, so -31. So if I go and I graph this, I'm going to put a closed circle on the number 28. My arrow is going to go to the left. And if I pick any point, which in this case, I'm going to select a -30 to plug in. Actually, let's do -32. This is what I'm going to pick for my solution. So I'm going to plug in a -32 for t, divide that by a -4, that's greater than or equal to 7. So -32 divided by -4 will give me a +8. And is 8 greater than or equal to 7? And the answer is yes. Therefore, this is the correct inequality. For my third and final example today, we have m divided by 4 is greater than or equal to a -8. So I need to get m by itself, and because m is being divided by 4, that means I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. So my 4's cancel, and I'm left with m. Now here, I am multiplying by a +4. Because I'm multiplying by a positive, my inequality symbol does not change. And then I have -8 times 4 over on the other side, which will be a -32. So I'm having to multiply by a +4 to clear out my denominator. Because I'm multiplying by a positive on both sides, I do not change my inequality. And this right here is my final answer. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a great day.